Hello again, this is Carol King, the founder of Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing and accounting program designed specifically for custom home builders. In this video, we are going to talk about various customers in CHS that have more than one company filed in CHS. On this screen, you can see that I've entered my ID and that I have two company data files showing up here, and I can open one or the other. What we will be talking about is how you can now update vendors between those data files or add a vendor from one data file to another. Let me just show you all of that. So I will open the one that we use quite often for our demos. I think I will choose to go to the menu with colors because I like colors. Then I will expand Vendor Setup and Info, and I will open the vendors list. Now what I'd like to do is show you the new feature for updating a vendor from one company to another. So let's just use an example of, we're quite often looking at Big Buck in our demos. And let's go ahead and edit Big Buck. And let's just pretend that there's something that has changed, like maybe we've uploaded a new general liability document and we've changed their expiration date. So let's just try that. Let's just say it has now changed to March 28th, 2023 or whatever. And then we upload a new general liability certificate. I could say yes here, I don't have a new one to upload and we already have one here, but let's pretend that I wanted to clear this one and upload another one. I could. But so we just made a change to that date. That's good enough for us to demonstrate what we need. So let's do save. Now the big thing I want to show you that's brand new, and it's your secret, is right here there's a button that if you hover over it, it says update vendor between data files or add vendor to other data files. So if it doesn't find that this vendor with the same vendor code is in the other data file, you can add it. But let's see what happens when we click that. So the first thing we see here is select other data file. So if you have multiple companies, they will be listed. We only have one other multiple company, but if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, which some people do, they'll be listed and you can select one of the other data files. And then what you will see is that it did find a vendor code in the other data file that is the very same vendor code. If that vendor code is not found over there, you're going to get another pop-up message, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But in order to update across from one data file to another, it must be the same vendor code. Now what you're looking for is either arrows one way or the other. This arrow means, do you want to copy this information from here over to here? And you can see that there's a difference here, and that's why there's an arrow. Or there's a difference here where you could copy it from that other data file and update this data file that you have open, and that's why there's an arrow over here on this side. In other words, if I click this arrow, it's going to change this expiration to 2021, which is what we do not want to do. But maybe somewhere during the day I updated this one but not this one, so that's why you'll see the back and forth arrows. There's not too many because we have updated them recently. This also is showing that there's a doc here in our current data file, and if I opened it, you can see that it's a commercial certificate of insurance. Now one thing I'd like to caution you about clicking the arrow to send this one over to the other data file is that these things show a certificate holder for a company, so you may not be wanting to copy the general liability certificates across to the other one, but I do let you do it if you just want to. That's this one right here, this view doc. So let's see what happens if I do this arrow. It says warning, and it's telling you about what I just talked about. Is it often specifies a certificate holder on the certificate. Since your two data files are most likely for two different companies, it may not be a good idea to copy a general liability certificate from one company to another. If there are view doc links, that's what this link was I clicked, it's a good idea to click those so you know what you are copying and what you are replacing. So you can look at the docs first, If you don't see an issue with copying the certificate, click the Continue to copy the certificate from one data file to another. Now, again, I would suggest that this doesn't happen because usually it's a different certificate holder between different companies, but I just will go ahead and continue. So I did copy that document. You can see it, same certificate number, and that it says View Doc, and if I clicked that, it would be that same general liability certificate now over in the other company. It's been stored in the other company's data file, etc. So you can do it. Now where it may be more handy, you can see we already have a W-9 in both of them, and if we viewed them we could see if they were the same. If they weren't the same file stored in your file cabinet, you would see arrows. And if you had uploaded some things for Workman's Comp certificate, you could do that. And these various miscellaneous expirations that you can set up yourself, you can, if there were arrows and there was anything different about these, you know that when you're uploading documents for a vendor, you can also upload ones for this, that kind of thing. And then there would be little arrows if you had an upload here. You'll get used to it. It just has to do with these forward and backward arrows. And what's showing up here to update, let's update this. Boom, this will be automatic. So now you see that both company data files are the same. If any of these were different, you will see arrows going on all the way down through here to get those changed. So I hope you get that idea. There will be a little audit record put in the other company over here saying what user did it and what company you updated the vendor from. So that's that. Let's take a look at something else. What I'd like to show you is, I kind of set it up to do this. Let's do the A's. Is sending a vendor over to another data file. So let's click this Acme Brick C. Notice it's vendor code. Let's click to edit it. And all I'm wanting to do is maybe get it over to another data file. I'm not needing to make any changes, so I'll click that button here and see what happens. This is the way you would get this vendor over to the other data file. Now let's select our other data file and see what happens. It says a vendor with the same vendor code was not found in the other data file selected. In your head you might be going, well, I have an Acme Brick over in the other data file. I wonder why, but it's the same vendor code that it's telling you. So it says use the button to list vendors in other database to see if the same vendor is in the other data file but with a different vendor code. If you find that the same vendor is in the other data file, you might want to change the vendor code in this data file, and there's instructions about how to change a vendor code, or in the other data file, so that they match up and can be cross-updated in the future. If you do not find the same vendor by looking at the data file and want to add it to the other data file, reselect the other data file so that this message that we're looking at pops up again, and by reselect it means drop down and reselect it. Then use the button to add vendor to other database. Here is that button. But let's list the vendors first. And what we want to do is maybe just search for maybe Acme in the name, to see what other vendors might have Acme in there. So look here how we do have Acme Brick in the other data file, JR Custom Homes. And we go, oh, well, it's already there. We don't want to add it. But let's take a look. This one's in Fort Worth. This one's in El Paso, Texas. So maybe we do want to add this Acme Brick C over to the other data file, or we don't. You want to be very careful that you don't, by using this feature, you don't set up a vendor twice in another data file. So if it pops up, says it doesn't find the vendor code, you want to do this thing where you search to see if maybe you have that vendor set up. You can type in a partial part of the name and then use the magnifying glass to search in the other data file to see what vendors are there. But you know what, since these are in two different cities, I'm going to go ahead and say that I do want to add this. Now what I'll let you know is if this one says Acme Brick Company, which it does not, CHS will object to adding something with the exact same name over there. If it finds that it's over there, if it finds Acme Brick Company over there, it will pop up and say, sorry, we found one with the very same company name, and so we won't copy it. But let's see what happens if we go ahead and, like I said, reselect the other file so that it will pop up that message we saw a minute ago. And we do add vendor to other database. It says the vendor has been added to the other data file that you selected. When this message is closed, CHS will fill in the data that was copied over to the vendor that is now in the other data file. Since there may be data that was not copied for this vendor to the other data file, look for arrows pointing to the right from over here that you can click to send missing data over. There's a few things that CHS won't just automatically copy over. So let's take a look. Now we can see that it is now over in the other data file, and what we have is one arrow to the right, and that's for general liability. But if there were a lot of differences, there would be a lot of arrows to help update the other one. So you can see that if you want to, you could send the document, which I think is just some funny picture I uploaded, and I won't do that. But you can see if you click that, it will go over to the other data file. But see, now we have this company over in the other company. If we list vendors in other database and we search for Acme again, you can see we have two, one in El Paso and one in Fort Worth now over in the other company. So be very careful. If I clear the search, you'll see all of them again if you want to, and you could just scroll down to see these because they're in the A's. Anyway, let's do something else. I want to show you one other thing. Let's do ACES Builder's Warranty. Now what I happen to know is that a bunch of documents were uploaded way before we started putting them out to the cloud. And I want to show you what happens when you try to cross over and upload, say, a W9 or something that hasn't been uploaded to the cloud yet from this one. Let's choose our other data file, and we do find one over there. And we see View Doc here, a W9. And I'll show you what happens. The attached file has not been uploaded to the cloud storage yet. Please use CHS features to view vendor docs is what I meant. Let's do this here. And let's try to open this W9 form that we show. It says it's not been uploaded to cloud storage yet. And then it'll take you to a window so that you can take care of that. So it says your stored file needs to be uploaded to the cloud. This only has to do with old ones you've loaded a few years back, because I have customers like that and it still may encounter some of those. It's not really a W9, it's a picture fake that I did just to demonstrate uploading, but at least it's now in the cloud. I could do a W9, but I don't have a W9 for ACES Builder Warranty. So now what happens when I go over here and I say I want to update in another data file and select it, you'll see, for one thing, like I said, it's automatic to update other things. You'll see that this phone number, home, is not in over here for the person, so if we want it, we can do the arrow. And what it's done is update the home phone number in the other one. Now let's see what happens if I try to send the W9 document, which is really a picture, but just ignore me. It just did it. It didn't find that it hadn't been uploaded to the cloud, and if we view the doc here, we click to open it, we see a picture, which you would have uploaded actually a real PDF W9. So ignore how I do demos. And I'm just practicing uploading things and seeing if they match. That is not a W9. So anyway, you might want to go to your documents, clear that document, and get a real W9 loaded for this. So I just wanted to point that part out. But anyway, I hope you get an idea of how easy it is to, if I made a change over here and I wanted to update something, let's say this needs an address like 1 Main Street, let's just do that, and a zip code 78704, and I've updated this stuff and I know I have this vendor in my other data files or one data file. So I'll select the one we have, and you sit here, let's say we want to get that Main Street over to the other data file, and we want to get that zip code over there. So you can see it just automatically does it, and it says clicking any arrow will cause an automatic update. You will not receive a confirm message. I just figured you wouldn't want to be answering, yes, I do want to do this, yes, I want to do this, you know, that kind of thing. But you'll see there's different things going on here if things are different between the two. And like I said, look here how this is different, and there's no document over here, so it's got arrows going that way. In other words, you could copy something from this one over to the current one that you're in, back and forth. So that's what those arrows mean. So I think that's all I needed to show you. You can play with it, and please, since it's a brand new feature right now while I'm doing this in May of 2022, let us know if there's any issue with it. And thank you for watching.